For decades, Dame Judi Dench has been regarded as one of Britain's most treasured cultural figures, a performer whose mere presence could command attention in any theater or film. Watching her work is like witnessing someone who inhabits her craft completely yet effortlessly. She carried Shakespeare, contemporary drama, and screen performances with an elegance that seemed natural rather than performed. Her career has been celebrated for its longevity, range, and depth, and it is easy to assume that someone of her stature is immune to the subtle pressures and challenges that shape the arts. But Dench's story reveals a truth often overlooked. Even those who appear untouchable encounter moments that test their patience, judgment, and resolve. She has shared reflections on navigating spaces where respect was assumed rather than given, where her ideas might have been quietly sidelined, and where her voice required deliberate choices to be heard. These moments, rather than diminishing her, helped shape the deliberate, thoughtful approach to collaboration and authority that has defined her career. Quiet observations of influence. Power is not always loud, and authority does not always announce itself in dramatic ways. Dench has observed throughout her career that influence often manifests in subtle gestures. The choices about whose opinions are acknowledged, whose discomfort is overlooked, and whose presence is taken for granted. She has spoken about these experiences with careful thought and honesty, noting that even with her extensive acclaim, she encountered situations where her experience was underestimated or her input was not sought. These were not confrontational episodes or public disputes. Rather, they were moments where her values and expectations quietly collided with those of others. She has described them as opportunities to understand the nuances of collaboration, to recognize where alignment was possible, and to make measured decisions about engagement. Her reflections remind us that leadership, artistry, and authority are often exercised in quiet, principled ways rather than through volume or force, choosing clarity over approval. Throughout her career, Dench has faced situations in which decisions about her work or public image were made without her input. In these instances, she consistently chose clarity and self-assurance over the need to gain approval or acquiesce to expectations. She understood that true authority comes not from asserting oneself aggressively, but from knowing when to step back, when to engage, and when to redirect attention elsewhere. When marketing, framing, or presentation of her work felt misaligned with her own understanding of herself as an artist, she would calmly remove herself from the situation rather than compromise her standards. These choices were never dramatic, but they were decisive, demonstrating that integrity and discernment often speak louder than conflict or protest. In this way, Dench modeled an approach to career and creativity rooted in self-knowledge and intentionality. Collaboration and connection acting is fundamentally collaborative, and the quality of that collaboration depends on trust, communication, and mutual respect. Dench has often reflected on the delicate balance of working alongside other artists, particularly when individual approaches differed significantly. She observed that some actors thrive in solitude and introspection, while others rely on interaction and exchange. When these methods do not align, a quiet distance can emerge. Yet she treated these situations as opportunities for learning rather than sources of contention. She adjusted her approach to preserve her own creative energy while respecting the processes of others. In doing so, Dench demonstrated that professionalism is not merely about agreement or acquiescence, but about presence, engagement, and the careful management of creative relationships. Admiration with discernment. Working with extraordinary talent is both a joy and a responsibility. Dench has acknowledged her deep admiration for the abilities of her peers, even in circumstances that required careful boundaries. She understood that acknowledging brilliance does not necessitate enduring discomfort or compromising one's own values. This capacity to separate personal admiration from professional alignment became a defining feature of her approach. She maintained grace publicly, recognizing achievements and contributions where deserved, while privately assessing the dynamics that served her growth and the integrity of the work. In this way, Dench exemplified the idea that respect and collaboration can coexist with discernment, and that honoring one's own principles strengthens rather than diminishes relationships. Lessons in mentorship. Mentorship has played a significant role in Dench's development, and she has shared reflections on the fragile nature of guidance in professional spaces. Early in her career, she experienced mentorship as a shared understanding, a space where curiosity, exchange, and respect allowed knowledge to be passed from one generation to another. Over time, she noticed how easily this balance could shift, especially as younger collaborators assumed authority. Enthusiasm could sometimes become overconfidence, and miscommunication could fracture trust. Dench approached these moments with patience and self-reflection rather than defensiveness, adjusting her expectations and allowing the work itself to demonstrate its value. These experiences reinforced her belief that mentorship, while precious, requires humility and mutual respect to thrive. The subtle power of words. In theater, words carry a particular weight. Dench has spoken about the lasting impact of remarks delivered casually or without consideration. Even small comments, when misaligned with intent or sensitivity, can alter the tone of a collaboration or create distance between colleagues. Rather than respond with confrontation, she often chose quiet recalibration, maintaining professionalism and allowing her performance to remain unaffected. Over time, she learned that emotional energy is best preserved by managing one's own response rather than attempting to correct others' missteps. This approach underscores a central theme in her career. Dignity is maintained not through confrontation, but through measured, thoughtful choices. Restraint, as strength one of Dench's most consistent traits, is her discipline of restraint. She does not seek to dominate a space, nor does she insist upon apologies or public recognition when boundaries are crossed. Her approach to professional challenges emphasizes thoughtful withdrawal rather than reaction. This discipline is sometimes misunderstood as passivity, but it is in fact a highly intentional practice. By choosing when to engage and when to step back, Dench preserved both her integrity and the quality of her work. Her example demonstrates that real authority often lies in knowing when silence, rather than speech, is the most powerful tool. Respecting humor and craft comedy and performance demand attention to both detail and spontaneity. Dench values careful preparation and intentionality, recognizing that humor and levity are most effective when grounded in respect for the craft. She has noted that when humor or improvisation crosses into disregard for colleagues or the work itself, the imbalance is clear. Rather than compromise her standards, she chooses to disengage, preserving her commitment to quality and shared purpose. Her approach highlights an important lesson. Collaboration flourishes when aligned with mutual respect and shared intention, not through dominance or casual dismissal. Patterns of professional choice. Over decades, Dench's career reflects a pattern of thoughtful decision-making. She quietly observed the dynamics of collaboration, assessing where respect was present and where it might be compromised. When alignment was lacking, she chose to move forward without fanfare, preserving her energy and focus for projects and relationships that honored both her artistry and values. This approach allowed her to maintain a career defined by richness, variety, and longevity. By consistently reinforcing her own standards and boundaries, she created a professional life that prioritized clarity and intentionality over drama or conflict. Grace as intentional presence. Dench's grace has often been celebrated, but it is frequently misunderstood as softness or submission. In truth, her grace reflects a profound self-assurance and clarity of purpose. She knows her own worth, her values, and the limits she will not cross. This understanding frees her from the need to prove herself through confrontation or spectacle. Instead, she navigates her career with calm authority, responding to misalignment or disrespect with quiet but deliberate choices. Her example teaches that true grace is rooted in certainty, not in passivity or compliance, and that dignity can be preserved through self-knowledge and principled action. The power of saying. No saying no is a subtle but powerful form of authority, and Dench exercises it naturally. She declines projects not out of ego or insecurity, but because alignment with her principles and values is essential. These decisions are rarely publicized, yet they are central to the shape of her career. Each refusal protects the integrity of the projects she embraces, ensuring that her engagement is meaningful and deliberate. Her approach illustrates a timeless lesson. Maintaining agency in professional choices is as crucial as any recognition or award, and the ability to say no is a measure of both self-respect and discernment. Aging with confidence. As Dench has matured, she has resisted narratives that frame experience as vulnerability or diminishing. She continues to bring intelligence, curiosity, and passion to her work, expecting that her contributions be recognized on their own merit. When access or attention was challenged, she responded not with argument but with thoughtful adjustment, ensuring that her focus remained on meaningful work. Her approach demonstrates that authority and relevance are not granted by youth or novelty, but are cultivated through sustained engagement, self-awareness, and an unwavering commitment to craft. Respect as foundation for Dench, professionalism and respect are non-negotiable. Talent alone does not excuse inattention, charm cannot override courtesy, and fame does not guarantee consideration. These principles may seem simple, yet they are powerful in environments often characterized by ego, urgency, or imbalance. She does not seek special treatment. She seeks only what is fundamental: acknowledgement, courtesy, and the ability to work in spaces that honor collaboration and shared purpose. Her insistence on these standards demonstrates that integrity and respect are the true measures of success. Decisions that shape a life. Looking at Dench's career, one sees more than a record of extraordinary performances. One sees a deliberate sequence of choices. She consistently decided where to invest her energy, which collaborations to pursue, and when to step back. These decisions, though rarely visible to the public, are central to understanding the longevity and vitality of her career. By prioritizing alignment, integrity, and personal values, Dench has cultivated a life in the arts that is rich not only in achievements but in meaning and satisfaction. Her path demonstrates that a career built on principle and choice is both sustainable and deeply fulfilling. The strength of intentional silence. Silence, in Dench's practice, is not emptiness, but a deliberate form of presence. She uses quietness not to erase herself, but to protect herself, to manage energy, and to preserve integrity. She understands that not every challenge requires confrontation, that not every misunderstanding demands explanation, and that clarity can be achieved through measured withdrawal. Her silence becomes a statement in itself, signaling discernment, patience, and confidence. This approach highlights an important lesson for any professional. Restraint, when guided by principle, can be more powerful than speech. What her story teaches. Dench's journey reminds us that respect is not automatically granted by reputation or achievement. It must be continually reinforced through boundaries, clarity, and conscious choices. Her story is not one of conflict or dramatic assertion, but of quiet strength, measured judgment, and unwavering self-awareness. She shows that collaboration, admiration, and professional relationships can coexist with personal discernment, and that longevity and fulfillment are cultivated by protecting one's values as much as by nurturing one's talents. Her career demonstrates that dignity, integrity, and clarity are enduring forms of influence, the principle that remained. Throughout her life and work, one principle has remained consistent. Once respect is lost, the door closes, not as punishment, but as self-preservation. This approach is gentle yet firm, principled yet unobtrusive. It reflects the essence of Dench's authority: confidence that is neither loud nor aggressive, influence that is sustained through thoughtful choice rather than assertion, and a life in the arts shaped not by scandal or compromise, but by clarity, intention, and unwavering professionalism. It is this quiet, deliberate, and self-assured approach that has made Dame Judi Dench truly untouchable, not because she is beyond challenge, but because she has mastered the art of navigating it with grace.